A jazz legend, a neo-African painter, a 90s R&B star, three very different artists with the same goal, introducing a new generation to the wonders of art and music.
Here to talk about the Finding the Right Notes Foundation and its mission of arts education are Ron Carter, Danny Simmons, and Renee Neuville.
Oh,
hello, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
So Ron, let's talk about the mission. Why was it important for you to start this foundation?
Well, you know, I've been traveling for a very long time, a lot of different places, and I've always noticed that the places that I found the most enjoyable where the young audience was 8, 9, and 10. And since there's not much music in the United States elementary schools, I thought it'd be a good time for me to slow down my traveling career and share some of my stories and some of my music with the kids who are 7, 8, and 9, like I had when I was their age.
Why do you think the music has disappeared from the schools? And what can we do to bring it back?
Well, usually when there's a budget cut, it always starts at the arts first, and until that changes, there'll always be no money.
Wow. I know you two are both very involved in the organization as well. Why did you decide to become part of the mission?
For me, I already have an arts foundation, Rush Philanthropic, with my brother Russell and Reverend Run. And when a mutual friend told us about what Ron was trying to do, and since I've been down this road already, starting the foundation and interacting with kids, I came and met with Ron and had dinner at his house, and we started talking. And I said, whatever help I could help, to make this happen. So.
Okay, Renee?
And for me, ever since I've been touring with Roy Hargrove for about 10 years now, and at this stage in my life and my career, I wanted to join forces with something that I could give back to the community. I usually go to schools maybe twice a month and I talk to the kids because I love the new generation, and they need encouragement, they need direction, and sometimes it could be you can make a difference in a child's life when you tell them, look, when I was your age, I learned how to play the piano, classically trained. Maybe when you go home, ask your mom, I'd like to take lessons. I'd like to, show an interest. So I think it's important for me at this point to kind of reconnect and galvanize these young people so that they can have tools, not only educational tools, but musical tools and arts, because it just makes you a more rounded individual, I believe.
Now, there are all sorts of studies that talk about just how important the arts and music are to children and how they perform better in school and better on tests if they have arts and music in their schools. So what aren't people getting? What aren't our education leaders getting? Why are those the things to first be slashed from the budget if they play such a fundamental and instrumental role in education?
I think the first thing schools see when the budget becomes the issue is the sports program, which theoretically brings them more immediate funds for the departments that they split around the classrooms. They haven't really understood how positive music can be for the kids who are 8 and 9, because when they leave their classrooms, they don't see them when they're 12 and 13. If they could see them when they're 8 and 9 and follow their careers or their lives or their activities for the next 4 or 5 years, they would see that perhaps if we had given this young man a violin, or if he'd encouraged his parents to let him have piano lessons, or send him to a dance school for an afternoon, how could he not be such a positive person at the age of 13 and 14?
And you're more likely to be a working artist or a working musician than you are a quarterback, aren't you?
Well, that's
or a point guard. Really.
Quarterbacks get paid more, but
Yeah, but
the 1%.
in the short term.
Right.
But I'd like to say something. Schools are funded, by local governments, and we have not been able to convince local government how much money the arts brings into the community. And
When I was lost in translation.
Yeah, when I was with the New York State Council on the Arts, we had some statistics that showed that every dollar that was put into the arts brought back $1.72 in tax revenue. And so, you have to get the message out in different ways when legislators understand that, they think arts are just putting paintings on a wall or music, but they have to also understand, they think in terms of economics and economic development and what it'll bring back. So that message has to get out to them also, that these things are going to generate money eventually for the community.
So Renee, I know you mentioned speaking to students, but what else are you guys doing in the organization to expose students to arts and to music, and also to educate others about the necessity of having it?
Well, my role as a brand ambassador in the foundation is really to help to bring more artists to the foundation so that we collectively can bring more awareness to this cause, along with Danny and Ron Carter.
And Ron, what are you making sure that you're doing as well?
Well, one of my interests is to have the parents be a part of the process. You know, I think once we have the parents understand that their kids can be a productive citizen of society without having to worry about being a quarterback or the next major athletic star. You know, and the odd thing about it is that there's so many things in music that involve, they could write music, they could produce music, they could play music, they could promote music, they could be a DJ on music. I mean, there are a lot of things to do with the word music, and once we have the parents understand that these options can be available to their child, their kids, if they start at the age of 6 and 7 rather than wait until they're way past the point of having that kind of interest, that's my interest.
Can each of you talk to us about how you entered into the world of arts?
You go first.
Well, I'm probably the oldest guy, so I've been trying the longest. That's what that really means. I started out playing classical cello, and along the way, it seemed clear to me that the classical world was not really interested in having an African American be a part of their musical process. And,
How old were you when you started playing?
I started at 10.
Wow.
Really? Did
Cello.
you choose that instrument, or was it chosen for you?
No, the teacher came, the lady came in and brought this 8 or 9 instruments and put them on the table. She said, okay, now this is for you. Whichever one you want, we'll make music for the orchestra. And no one could believe that they were for us. I mean, this is an all-black school with the teacher said, that's for us. You know, it's kind of strange at that time, you know. And my parents saw that there was a nice way to keep me busy, and I seemed to have an interest for it, so I kept practicing and got better and better. And when I got to the point where I could really be competitive in the classical sense of music, they decided, the classical world at that point, we're talking about 1955.
You look
Decided-
good.
I'm still the oldest.
All right, well, Danny, what about you?
Music keeps you young, clearly.
Absolutely.
You know, I got into the arts as a child. My mother painted and my father was a writer. And so I would hear my father reciting poetry around the house all the time. And my mother would bring home art supplies and teach me how to paint. Although my father tried to channel me into getting one of those quote unquote good jobs. So, to make sure that, and so I went to school to be a social worker actually, and did social work for a while, but I was painting all along that period of time. And finally I came home one day and I was just fed up with social work, not because people weren't moving forward, and it was just maintenance. And I told my mother, I really want to stop doing this, and I want to be a painter. And she said, well, go ahead and paint. Nobody will let you starve. So I was in my early 30s when I really began my career as a painter and a writer.
Wow.
And Renee, I've told you this time and time again, you were single-handedly, well, not single-handedly, but you and your partner are responsible for the soundtrack of my entire college existence. So thank you very much. You're one half of the group Jeanne, and there was no party without a Jeanne jam
you.
or 12 playing at some point. But talk to us about life before Jeanne. How did you discover?
Sorry?
Yeah.
Well, at the age of 5, I attended the Brooklyn School of Music, and I was classically trained. And I attended Midwood High School. By the time I got to Midwood High School, that was when I weaned myself off of the musical score, and I started to write, and I started to accompany all the choruses, the gospel chorus, the mixed chorus, and stuff like that. But I was very shy, so I didn't really sing until later. But yeah, that's pretty much, I've been playing the piano quietly since I was 5. So as always.
So is it true you're working on a solo album, and can we hear some of that piano skills on the album?
Well, actually, yes, I am working on a solo album. It will be entitled Sovereign. Yes. And I am hoping for it to be released in the fall. And it's basically going to be a mixture of jazz, R&B, a little bit of my Caribbean roots, what I've learned, and how musically, how I've changed through my travels in the jazz world.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, before we go, we want to make sure we have an opportunity for each of you to tell us what's up with you. I know you're both holding things you want to show us. What do you have for us?
Well, next month my book is coming out. One of my next book is coming out. It's called The Brown Beat Next Homes. It's a combination of my paintings and my poetry.
Yeah.
Nice. So.
And Mr.
Yeah, it's
Carter, what have you got in your
Yeah.
hand there?
You can hold my book.
I shall.
It's called Finding the Right Notes, which is the title of our foundation.
Okay.
It's my bio, and it's a really nice book.
All
Great
right.
stories.
I love it.
I love that you all are staying so busy and you have so many things to share with the young people. Thank you very much, and continue the work.
And come
Continue
back
the
again,
work.
please,
I'd love to
anytime.
come
All
back.
right. Well,
All
thank
right.
you.
Thank you both. Thank you
Right.
all.
Thank you.
And you're watching Rise Entertainment 360.